And welcome to Living the Dream. It's Thursday. Now, let me get it right. It's ThursDIAZ. That's right. ThursDIAZ is the show. We are underway. We are going. And what is that noise? What's going on there? We got all kinds of interruption. Who's making margaritas? Who's making a trago? Who's got the drink ready to go?
Me, but I mean, it's just
not me.
We're making all kinds of ice. We're ready to go. It's ThursDIAZ, and that's what's going on. I'm your host, Beto Duran, joined as always by Joel Diaz and Roberto Diaz. And gentlemen, Joel, I'll start with you. Saludos, ¿cómo estamos? What are we drinking?
Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon, everybody. Roberto, buenas tardes.
Un placer siempre.
Always a pleasure every week. What I'm drinking today? I'm drinking something a little different. I'm drinking ponche de granada. This is a homemade ponche de granada with tequila, which is actually jugo de granada. This guy, he has granada orchards, and he makes it at home. Really good.
Show it again to the camera. What is it?
It's ponche de granada.
Okay.
Pomegranate punch. It has a lot of alcohol in it.
and Bobby, what are you drinking?
I opened up a little bottle of blue.
Ay.
Little blue label.
Ay. Last week it was
with two little rocks.
Hey, so last week you had Louis the 13th, and saludos to Marcos 1311 who sent a tweet saying how it got super expensive. I didn't know it was $4,000. The Louis the 13th is $4,000.
That's why it's special. Living the dream. Living the dream.
Yeah.
And I have a bottle of wine today. It's a little Navigator wine from Napa. When he got this, they recommended it to me at Bevmo. It was like a $30 bottle. I'm on my second one. It's a good, not today, but I just opened it up. So cheers, salud a todos que nos están mirando on ThursDIAZ. Como siempre, salud Zulem Urbina, Leti Ariola. Leti, who actually has a bottle of tequila, like legit ready to go. So
wow.
He saw toda la gente, and I sent a tweet with all kinds of good stuff. What's that, Coach?
This is Don Julio, but it's a little bottle, like a one shot. In case I need some backup.
In case you need some backup.
That's what he has in his llaverito for the keys.
and as always, thanks to everybody who's been watching it and tweeting about it and posting about the show. It continues to grow every single week. And when I go back and look at the podcast numbers, we're getting really good numbers on the podcast. So the people who miss out on the live on Thursdays are watching it, are listening to it on the podcast. And it's always under just Beto Duran. Go and check it out. So good numbers. And I know that during this quarantine time, and actually, Roberto, let's fix your camera a little bit because we only see your chin up. So there you go. Perfect. Because we got.
I'm sorry, my IT guy is not here. Yeah. He's gonna get fired. Took a day off.
And fire the IT guy. So here's what I want to say. Everybody, and I think Mr. Boxing Guru sent a tweet. Hey, shout out to everybody who's out there doing a bunch of different podcasts and hustling because it's a lot of work doing these shows. And you have some people who have never done it before. And I'm not going to pick on them. Go after it. Go. If you want to do it, do the work, go. And, the more exposure for the boxer and the fan, go for it. And this is where I want to start off today with this before we get to the question. I didn't tell you guys what the question is and the theme of today, but we're going to go international again. Coach, I saw that you were on Matchroom Boxing's show that they're doing, where they're doing, Eddie Hearn is running it. He's doing it, and he had a trainer roundtable. You... Manny Robles, who we know very well, Ronnie Shields, and you guys were talking about if boxing were to come back right now, how do you train your fighters? And one of the subjects that came up was possibly the cut man is going to be the same cut man for every single fight, where it'll be the fighter plus two, and not your individual cut man, where it's like UFC, they assign Rudy Hernandez, he works one corner the entire time. That's weird. Like, do you like that or no, or do you understand it?
I understand it because, I have experience through the UFC. I work with a UFC fighter, Cub Swanson. But it's really hard because not every person relies or is comfortable with somebody you don't know. Like with me, honestly, I can tell you this. I'm a cut man myself. I do everything. I do, for my fighters, I do hand wraps. and I do cuts and I do the training. And honestly, when I need somebody in my corner as a cut man, it has to be somebody I trust, like Mike. Like Mike, Mike is one
Mike Rodriguez, yeah, Big Surge,
and Surge. Those are the guys that have helped me. The only two guys that have helped me as cutman in the corner. But if they're not there, to me it will be a little hard to trust somebody else because I never worked with him. I've worked with Mike, I worked with Surge, but working with somebody that I've never worked before, it's a little uncomfortable. And but if we have to adapt to it. We have to. Sometimes we have to.
Why would it be uncomfortable? I'm asking a dumb question as a dumb fan. Isn't a cut man just doing a job and fixing cuts? What else is he doing?
Yeah, that's it. Just doing cuts. But I mean, we all do our work different, and I like people's work. I mean, in every other trade. As a trainer, I watch other trainers, and I don't like the way they train. And same goes to me. Some trainers watch my training, and they don't like the way I train, and it's vice versa. I mean, there's cutmen that I really don't like the way they do their work, and there's some that I do. And if it happens that I get somebody that I really don't rely on as a cutman, I'm going to be uncomfortable. That's what I'm trying to say.
And Roberto, like I know you, California Commission had meetings this week. What are some of the things that you're hearing? I mean, not to give out the news because nobody knows when the fights are going to start. We'll leave it that way. But what are some of the sticking points of how we can get back into seeing action?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're going to have to comply to whatever new rules they put for the time being until hopefully this passes and is just history for us. But besides all the medicals fighters already have to do to get licensed in the state, now there's going to be testing for the COVID-19. And what happens once the fighter and the team, the corner, everybody's tested? I'm talking production, staff from the promotion, commission officials. Then you have to quarantine them. After the weigh-in, do you quarantine them? Because if they step out to go out and eat, can they be bringing, the virus into a clean area? I mean, there's a lot of things to think about, and we're just going to have to roll with it and how we've done in the past, roll with the punches. As far as the cutman, like Joel was saying, it may not be a significant change for that 4-rounder, 6-rounder that maybe still is not accustomed to ever being cut or having a cutman take care of them. But now when you get into the big fights, in the title fights, I remember something Ricky Hatton said. A cutman is the corner person you want to pay the most and the best and hope he never has to do his job. And it's real. You don't want to get cut, but you want to have the guy that personally, if I do, I can rely on him. Because you don't want to lose a fight on a cut, especially a fight that you may be winning. And because of a cut or inexperienced cut, man, you lose the fight.
Roberto, some of the things that, like I said, I know the commissions have been talking and you guys working for Golden Boy Promoters, you guys have been on countless meetings. What are some of the biggest complaints of there's no way we'll do it without that? Like the fans, forget it. There's going to be no fans in California. It doesn't sound like it for any sport. I mean, the Rams are going to be playing in an empty, brand new stadium and billions of dollars of stadium. Forget the fan part. But what's the biggest thing that, hey, this is going to be the biggest obstacle?
I think the testing. I think the testing is going to be one of, but I mean, it's in addition to what we've always done for the safety and the health of the fighter. We can expect no fans probably for the rest of this year, probably. I mean, unless all of a sudden this disappears. But think of this. I was thinking of it the other day. Let's just say come September, the virus is gone. There's an announcement. Everybody, you can go out now. The public's still going to be like, I don't know if I want to go in an enclosed venue with 20,000 other people, not knowing if I can contract an illness or the virus there. So I think it's going to be a process, a long process. But hopefully we're back to normal in next year.
Yeah. next year, that's some of the things. Like I said, I work for Thompson, I work at DAZN, I work for Golden Boy, and the things they keep telling me is, Beto, if you ever work again, there are going to be no fans. And that's also something where we saw with the UFC, the broadcaster, I know John Anik, the voice of UFC, he's like, this is the weirdest thing. And for me as a broadcaster, I'm used to being in a building where it's empty because I do the 3 o'clock fights in Las Vegas. But to know that nobody's there, Coach, when you're training a fighter, let's just say you got a guy who's like, hey, I got to fight. That's something you got to go and tell him too. Like, there's going to be no crowd, no fans, your wife can't come. Like, there's nobody in the building allowed. It's going to be the fighter, 2 in the corner, and that's it. Like, how do you get them locked in on that?
Well, you have to program them. First of all, you have to program, and they have to realize that. I think that every fighter along the career, they have been in a venue where there's nothing. I mean, there's times. I mean, I've been in some of the big events for Golden Boy, Canelo cards in Vegas, where Joseph Aguirre one time fought at, I think it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're in the dressing room and we walk out to the ring and there's nobody. And he knows maybe, his father, his mother out there, a little bit of fans, but you don't see the big crowd. But you know what? One of the things that I was talking to a coach the other day, and it threw me off, but I understand their point. This coach told me, hey, so what do you think about this? When is boxing coming back? And I said, well, I could be asking you the same question. I really don't know. We're just hanging in there like everybody else. He says, yeah, some of my fighters, they're here and they're talking about what's going to happen. And some of the fighters that I train, they don't want to fight right now. They say they want to wait till next year.
Huh.
Because if there's no fans, they don't want to fight because the fans are the ones that motivate them. I said, well, if that's their mentality, they're the last ones on the list right now. Because, I mean, to me, honestly, I would have to tell my fighter. If Roberto calls me tomorrow and says, hey, we have an event this day, and we got Diego de la Hoya on the card. I tell Diego, and if Diego says, oh, well, there's not going to be no fans, you know what? That's your source of income. Right now, that's your job. You have to realize that even though there's no fans, it's your job. You have to provide for your family. You have to, one way or another, manage to say, you know what, I'm still going to fight. I'm going to fight because it's my job and get in there. But if you say no, you know what, they're going to put you at the end of the list. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the way I see it. I mean, in my position, if I was a fighter right now, I mean, we have to go based on the situation. If I have to fight, I have to fight, regardless if there's no fans. I mean, if there's some sort of a way they're gonna watch me on TV, live or something, they're gonna watch me regardless. I'm gonna be there. I have the support from them wherever they're at. They're not gonna be in the same venue as I am, but I'm gonna do it. That's my source of income. That's my job. I'm gonna do it regardless if there's fans.
Roberto, just so you can go and say it now, there are no fight dates, right? There are no schedules. Like everybody's like, okay, Ryan Garcia said he's fighting 4th of July, but there's been no contract. Nothing's official yet. It's just a lot of talk, correct?
Well, that's the goal, to start July. 4th of July being such a significant day. What better day? What better holiday? To get started now. We couldn't do the Cinco de Mayo. Hopefully, we can do the September Mexican Independence. But to begin on July 4th of July with a Ryan Garcia fight, it makes all the sense in the world. That's what we're shooting for. It's not set in stone. I mean, we're waiting for a lot of different obstacles. Like the zone has to say, let's go. They have a crew production, so they have liability there. The government has to say, okay, we're back to normal. So there's a couple different obstacles to be faced before we can say it's on. But we are working on it and trying to get it done.
Yeah, so hear that, people. So no matter what you've been looking at Instagram and you keep sending me messages, I don't know anything. So Roberto just told you they're looking for it. Be nice. And for those of you joining us right now, Razo's here. Roberto has Johnny Walker Blue. Coach has a Granada. I got some wine. And for those of you that are barbecuing and going, and we've been waiting for you guys. Now that Razo's here, let's start the show as we got the news and the noticias out of the way. All right. So, Coach and Roberto, I saw on your social media, both of you posted something about international and being welcomed. And, Coach, let's start with you. You did a training in Eastern Europe, and you posted it today. What was that moment?
To me, it was a little bit of it was nerve-wracking at first.
Where were you?
I traveled Yekaterinburg in Russia. Two of my fighters fought out there, and two of Vadim's fighters fought out there. So while I was out there, Vadim asked me, "Would you be interested in doing a master class?" And I said, "Sure. You're gonna get paid for it, and they really want you out there." So I was a little nervous because of the language, but when I got there, everything was great. Met some people. It's a great facility right there. That gym in Yekaterinburg, I think it's a 5-story building, and every story is a different sport. They even have an arena. Like I think it's in the 3rd floor or 2nd floor. They have an arena where they have like in a center, and then they have the seats up to the top. But every floor of that building, they have wrestling, they have boxing, they have strength and conditioning, weightlifting. They have all kinds of programs. It's a big. Mike Tyson's been there. Holyfield's been there. Costa Zoo's been there, and it's a great facility. So I did the master class, and when they announced the master class, I was supposed to do it for an hour, and it went like almost 3 hours. There were so many people. They were so happy. They were so happy. They were happy that I was there. I put up a great master class. Taught them basics of boxing and the way I teach. And there was kids from 8 years old to adults up to like 50 years old. And it was great. I think it was like close to 100 people that night, and it went well. I had a good translator. They guided me through the whole almost 3 hours of the class. It was and actually they wanted me to go do another one. It was such a great class that they wanted me to stay for another 2 days and travel somewhere else to do another one. I couldn't. So it was a great experience being in Yekaterinburg. It was beautiful. It was really cold. Really cold. I'm not used to that kind of weather. I mean, it was snowing one day. I woke up. It was really cold that when I got there, and I saw a lake right behind my hotel, and I saw water, a little bit of waves. The next morning I wake up, I mean, I could literally walk on the lake. Yeah. I go, what happened here? It was all ice, but it was beautiful. It was a great experience, honestly.
When you go to places like that, how does that happen? I mean, boxing is international, but the fans, they knew of you?
Yeah. I mean, thank God, I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
I never think like, oh, people know me. I just go because I have business to take care of. I have a fighter. Like the first time I ever went to England, as soon as I go to England, we go to a media workout. And the gym where I walk in, as soon as I walk in, people are like, hey, Mr. Diaz, can we take a picture? I mean, look, we left Timothy Bradley and I opened a big door. And based on Tim Bradley, a lot of people know me. A lot of people know me because of Bradley, and a lot of people know Bradley because of me. We paved the path together,
Mm-hmm.
So, we did a lot of things, a lot of great things together. Those Manny Pacquiao fights, Marquez, So a lot of people, a lot of boxing fans around the world, they've seen those fights, so they know who I am. But I never see it that way, and I get really good treatment from people overseas everywhere I go, and it's a great feeling, honestly.
That's pretty cool, yeah. Because you posted, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Because I'm over here thinking, man, how do you give classes to a different country? You said you have a translator, but at the same time, but then I think about it, isn't it like international? 1, 2, 3, 4.
See, when the class started, it was like I was basically using my translator, But then once I started and going in deeper into the class, I was on my own, and they were listening. I was doing mitts with kids, doing mitts with adults, young ladies, older. I mean, it was a big class, and like I said, it was supposed to be 1 hour. It was supposed to be 1 hour, and went 2 hours. And they're asking me, they're like, Mr. Diaz, you okay? I mean, no, if it's okay. Oh no, everybody's good. They're loving it. So I said, as long as they're okay and you guys are okay, I don't have a problem. Besides, all I had to do was after the class, I'll go to my hotel and just watch TV in my room.
Yeah.
So I was having a good time.
Yeah, well, and plus the lake is frozen. You no te vas a meter. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Roberto, on your Instagram at Michelada Time, you posted a cool picture with the late Dr. Gilberto Mendoza, and it was you in the Ukraine. Once again, a kid from the border who was working at Circus City. Now you're at the Ukraine with presidents of commissions. What was that experience like?
It was incredible. I'd never been to Ukraine. I was at a WBA convention. El Doctor Mendoza was the president at the time, father of Gilberto Jesus, who's now the president. And just the whole, I mean, we were treated, they opened the doors, not only the organization, but a lot of the officials and a lot of the promoters and people that get there, but the actual host who's from Ukraine, when he found out I represented Golden Boy, it wasn't Roberto Diaz that he knew. He had never met me. He had never seen me. But he knew, oh, that's Golden Boy. I want to talk to him. And it was just, like Joel said, they open the doors. They treat you very well. Very good hospitality. I'm not saying everywhere you go, but in most places you go. And in the Ukraine, it was just great. I mean, great food, great people. We came out with a mandatory after that convention, so things worked out.
Yeah, it was for the WBA convention, and that's where I want to go with this because, look, everybody watching right now, Mexican-American, we all know our world, and for a lot of us, we never leave our world because we just don't because of opportunities or lack thereof. Working in sports, everywhere I've gone, for me, has always been because in sports has taken me there. Roberto, you're talking about a kid from the border going to Ukraine. Joel, you were from Michoacan, go to India. Your first time you ever went to a fight, as you've told the stories, you were in that fight. Now you guys are going all over the world. And I want to stick with the theme of Eastern Europe, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, those kind of guys, because we don't know anything about this. I'm talking about just the general fan, because we know the Mexicans, right? We know everything about what the Mexicans are doing. But on the other side of the world, take us there. And I've heard, having worked with like Slava Shabransky, right, with Golden Boy, or some of the other guys for the Ukraine, like you guys are treated like stars there. One, because you're American. You mentioned Roberto, Golden Boy. Wow, Oscar. But what is it, Joel, about these fans that love boxing? Why?
Why? Because the sport of boxing is like a magnet. Once you watch that first fight live, believe me, you're hooked to the boxing sport. I mean, I've seen people that never been to a boxing fight, and I have invited people. Hey, you know what? Come to a fight. And once they watch the fight, they're hooked forever. Boxing is like a magnet. Once you watch that first fight and you see the excitement, the energy, in the arena, you'll get hooked forever. And that's just the way it is for everybody in particular. I mean, like I said, we traveled all over the world. When I was in Argentina, like, who from Argentina is going to know me? And Roberto, when we went with Diego de la Hoya to Argentina, we were already working with Lucas Matisse, right? Remember, Lucas Matisse had separated from his team, from Guti and all those guys over there. So when I get to San Luis, Argentina, in the arena where I was, I mean, as soon as we walk out, I mean, you see the people just yelling my name. And I'm okay, So after the fight is over, I mean, Diego gets like a couple pictures, but basically most of the people in the arena wanted to take a picture with me. Because, yeah. And they're like, because not because of the Diego fight that night, because now I'm working with Lucas Matisse. It's like now this guy is working with Lucas Matisse, an Argentinian, an icon in Argentina, and people knew me over there. And it's I mean, those are great experiences that everywhere I go, there's always somebody. One time I was in England for the Diego Magdaleno Flanagan fight, and I left my hotel, and I don't know, I was looking for a mall, and I'm walking towards the mall, and I see a lot of people, and all of a sudden I see somebody like, "Hey, you boxing coach, and I'm like, yeah, me, yeah, Bradley's trainer, Bradley, can we take a picture? Like, I would never expect. I'm walking to the mall, and right in the middle of the street, some guy looks at me and he tells me, "Hey, you're boxing trainer, you're Timothy Bradley's trainer." Yeah. So we get some great experiences on the fans, and honestly, I never had a bad one. I mean, it's always been great experiences.
I agree 100%. I mean, Manchester, England, the fans are incredible. I mean, I go out there and people want pictures, people want autographs, and I'm like, I'm not a fighter. You're confused. No, you're the matchmaker, man. You're a legend. And it's like, what? You get a lot of love. It's very surprising. The first couple of times it happened to me, it was like, I looked, like Joel said, I looked back. You talking to me? because here, look, we're used to going in to an event, doing our thing, going out, going home. People know you. People have grown with you. People see you and like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But it's not to that status. Like, they don't see you every day over there. But they read about you, or they see the fights, or they see, Joel in the corner working these big fights and everything. So when they do see you, it's that opportunity to go out there and get a picture. And it's humbling. It's humbling because it's like, I'm not the star of this, event. You want the fighter. You want Linares. No, mate, you're with Oscar, or you're with Golden Boy, or you're Ricky Hatton's and Matthew Hatton's friend. And so it's really, really cool.
It's and you've mentioned about the British fans, but the Eastern European, what is it about them, Roberto? When you go out there, I mean, I see your Instagram. Every single time you post something, there's always some kind of writing in Russian or Ukrainian or something. You get those weird letters, both of you guys. Like, they just want to have a connection. What is it about those fans?
Well, I don't know what they're saying. They might be saying chingas. No. I don't know if it's all love all the time, but I hope it is. But look, I was in Russia. I was in Ukraine. In Ukraine, we won a world title. In Russia, we fought for the world title with Ishida. We lost to Pirog. It's an event. You see, even in Canada, yeah. You see people dressed in smoking and tuxedos, and the ladies in dresses, and it's more of a gala event than just another fight, and it gives it. I'm telling you, I was in the ring waiting for Linares to walk out, and then Kevin Mitchell and Crolla to walk out. And once they start singing "Sweet Caroline," and once they start, the hair in the back of your neck stands up, because it's like, wow, this is cool.
It's, in London when they sing "Sweet Caroline," there's nothing like that. All right, that's pretty cool. I was just wondering because both of you guys posted pictures about the Ukraine and Russia. That's why I was like, okay, let me ask these guys, because look, be honest here. Everybody who's watching this, none of you fools are going to Russia. You're not going to the Ukraine. Like, you are not going, because one of all, it's a long trip, and just to go out there. Now, when you move forward and you go somewhere, and Joe, I'm gonna go with this one. We're starting to see South American fighters, right? And you, Golden Boy Roberto has Argentina fighters. You have a Brazilian, a champion in Patrick Teixeira. How the hell do you find these guys when your office is in downtown LA and your IT guy isn't at your house right now?
Well, I'll tell you that the brand, Oscar De La Hoya, is known all over the world. Golden Boy is known all over the world now for boxers. It is very fascinating to go to a country like Venezuela, like China, like different places, Nicaragua, Panama, and so many fighters come to you, or managers, trainers. Hey, I got this kid. You got to take a look at him. And it's not so much now you searching. It's them coming to you and say, here's my application. When to start, Obviously, you can't sign everybody. You wish to, but Roger Gutierrez. Roger Gutierrez, I was in Venezuela for a Linares fight. He was on the undercard. Looked amazing. He was undefeated. I signed the kid. Bring him to the States. Lost his first fight. Yeah. To Rene Alvarado.
Yeah, I called that fight.
I told him
at the Velasco.
At the Velasco. Yeah, and I told the corner, stop the fight. He's getting beat up. He was already like number 10, 12 in the world.
Yeah.
Came back his second fight against Tanahara. Lost again. 0-2. Came back. Oscar Duarte stops him. 0-3.
All right, let me stop you right there, Bobby. Okay, you just signed a dude, South America, which is expensive to fly. It's not like you're bringing a guy from Riverside to Velasco. You got to fly him. Your director of travel is like, Robert, que la chingada, it's expensive. He's 0-3. Is the company going, hey, like, what the hell? What are you doing?
Plus, you got to get a visa for him, a work visa. So it's not just like, hey, come on out and see how it goes. You got to do a process. They got to get approved. So in this case, 0-3, I remember telling the manager, look, he needs some work. You know, get him trained, get him a few wins back. I think they got a couple wins. He comes for the fourth time to the U.S., fighting one of the best prospects of Mexico at the moment, undefeated Rocky Hernandez.
Yeah.
And he pulls up a huge upset and knocks him out in the first round. Now, Roger is going to fight Rene Alvarado once we get going for the world title. So that's a great thing, because even though he lost the first few times, he didn't fold. He didn't say, you know what, this is not for me. I'm just going to retire. The kid worked harder and harder and harder. And now he's told me, I'm going to win. I'm going to win the world title. I'm going to beat Rene. And Rene's another guy. Rene, I signed him. He came in as an opponent
from
Mexico.
Nicaragua.
From Nicaragua. Came in as an opponent to fight the WBC silver champion, who was rolling over everybody, Robinson Castellanos. I believe the fight was in Mazatlan. He knocks him out bad. I didn't even have options. Normally you say, hey, in case you beat my champion, you owe me 1 or 2 fights. I was so confident that Robinson was going to beat him that I'm like, hey, just an opponent. You know, that's okay. He knocked him out. And I remember going to him and his manager and saying, hey, guys, you want to sign? I really want to sign you. I really want. And to their credit, they could have said, well, what are you going to offer? We're going to get, because they did receive calls right there and then. They hadn't even walked out of the arena when they had already a couple calls from different promoters. Are you signed? We'll sign you. We'll give you this. But something about them, they came and said, you gave us this opportunity. If you want to sign us, we will sign with you. I said, absolutely. Now, what happens? He comes to the U.S. and loses to Rocky Juarez in a great event at a military base, Memorial Day.
In El Paso.
And then he lost his second fight. And then he lost his third fight. And he lost his fourth. But they were all very close fights. You know, he lost to JoJo. He lost to Gancio, knocked him out.
Yeah.
He lost to Eric Hunter. This guy is another example. He lost, I think, his first 6 fights in the U.S. before he beat Jason Velez. And then he went on and lost to Gamboa, but then came back and beat an Abel Sanchez kid, and then beat another, and went on this streak. And then he won the world title from Andrew Cancio in the rematch. Now he's world champion. So that's the beauty of boxing. I mean, you get these guys that, not because of a loss, it's over. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yeah. It goes for boxing. I mean, these guys get experience. As long as the hunger and the dedication doesn't go away, they could become that opponent that's very dangerous. Real quick, there was an opponent, Joel, I don't know if you remember, or a champion. He was from Juarez. He went 0-17. 0-17. Anywhere else at the time, or today, they would have pulled his license. Hey, bro, you can't get approved to get fights. And then all of a sudden, he starts winning, and becomes a world champion. I think he knocked out Simon Brown, if I recall correctly. I mean, 0-17. That should tell you if you get to 0-10 or 0-5 or 0-7, this is not for you.
Wait,
find something else.
Wait. He went 0-17 to start his career?
Yeah.
That right there is the Mexico Commission. It's just that right?
But that's something that's very important.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of commissioners, and it's hard sometimes. That's a battle in itself when they won't approve certain fights, and it's like, don't go off records. Go off who they faced. Because sometimes you might not have the best record in boxing because you didn't have the right team behind you or the management behind you, and you fell into the cracks. Nobody took care of you. But guess what? You got better because you had to learn to get better by getting beat up. And that's a good example with this kid. I forget his name. I'll look it up in a little bit and see. But he was maybe Antonio, if he's there, he'll tell us.
Antonio will remember him.
Yeah.
Antonio will remember him.
Our research department.
Junior middleweight from Juarez.
Okay, and that's what it is. It's the guys you don't know, coach, always come in either overmatched or they surprise you. You are now getting the fighters from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, whatever stand, and then you get the South America guys. How do you know as a trainer, I'll take them on, because like Roberto said, now you can send the clips, you know what's going on. But at the same time, it's like you don't know what you're going to get regarding work ethic, the way that they behave, the way that they act with other fighters.
The sport of boxing is very critical in that way. The majority of the sport of the fighters, the boxers, they are very disciplined, they're very courteous, and they're very professional. Once in a while, you run into somebody that honestly you just want to get rid of, based on their behaviors and stuff. All these guys that I've been getting, like from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, they are recommended by somebody, and that somebody is somebody that I've worked for before in the past, and they are serious business. They're not here to play. They're people that are bringing fighters to fight, disciplined fighters. They're here. Go ahead.
But you know what? I'm sorry, Joel.
Go ahead.
He's absolutely right. It all depends too on who's bringing them. Yeah. That manager that you mentioned, at a very early age, and if I'm correct, you're talking about Badin, right? Mm-hmm. At a very early age, very serious, very mature, very business, and somebody you want to work with. But when he shows up, he's not bringing anybody. He's already done the work for you of saying, I'm going to bring talent, discipline, hard worker, and you don't have to worry about babying him or have it babysit him. Not babysit him, because I'll make sure he's taken care of. If he starts giving trouble, he'll take care of the issue. But that's when you know who you're working with. It's very different when a guy comes up to you, you've never met him. I'm a trainer, promoter, manager. I got the best fighter in the world. Nobody's going to tell you I got the worst. They're all the best. I got the next Oscar. I got the next Tyson. I got the next. You're very, okay, send me footage. Let me see what I can see. Let me see how much amateur. What. But then there's other guys that'll tell you, because you know their reputation, hey, you want to sign this kid. When I met Beck, I'll tell you, I didn't know his amateur background. I knew his amateur background after I signed him.
Yeah.
But Joel's training him. Badim's managing him. And they told me, and the fight was at the Avalon, I believe.
Yeah.
Watch this kid. This is for real. I think they had already sent me some footage of him sparring and knocking guys out. And I'm like, all right. I was impressed. He broke the guy's rib in the first round. And I'm like, holy shit. This guy's for real.
And he fought, I remember I worked that fight. He fought a guy who was solid and sturdy. And I remember asking the guy when he walked out, he goes, me quebró la costilla. Chinga su madre ese güey. It wasn't even an interview. The guy, I wasn't interviewing him, Roberto. He walked by me and just said that. I don't know if he was talking to me or talking to himself. I don't know what it was. But I'm like, okay, who is this guy? It was crazy.
Well, if you remember the fight in Pasadena that we had outdoors for free, I brought in a tough solid Mexican kid. Solid opponent, but tough.
Who doesn't go down?
Adrian Luna, Tyson, they call him, had given Demetrius Ballard, one of our top young prospects, who's 20-0 at the time, gave him a very good fight. It went the distance on, I think it was ESPN. When Tyson got knocked out in the first round, I was excited. I'm like, dude, this bet's for real. Tyson came outside the ring, came up to me and said, "Discúlpame, Roberto. You know that's not me. I tried, but this kid's too strong."
And
that's when you're like, okay, this kid's for real.
Yeah.
And Beck is all that.
Yeah,
a kid with 5 fights, already a WBA international title holder, and a guy that, no joke, was ready to step in with Kovalev. He was ready to step in with Kovalev. And Vadim, Joel, everybody said, let's do it. I said, guys, Kovalev? They're like, yes. Obviously, we couldn't get the fight done, but
wow,
that's where Beck is. And that's how the team believes in the ability and the talent of this kid.
That's Beck the Bully. Just go and follow him. Just look up BEK the Bully. He's crazy. He's a nice kid, but man, do not. Yeah, just don't worry. Here we go. I got the answer for you guys. His name, thanks to our good friend the Ace of SoCal, Quirino Garcia.
Yeah!
Quirino Garcia. I remember Quirino Garcia.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was his record? What was his record at the beginning?
Quirino Garcia turned pro in 1990. He went 0-18.
Yes.
He didn't get his first victory until 1994. 4 years of losing, and you're right, Roberto. He fought a guy named Dominic Carter who was 16-2. Chad Parker who was 28-0. Undefeated guy. 11-1. Undefeated. Those are the guys that he was fighting. Who the hell was managing this guy? Just fucking go. Nobody, huh?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I think he knocked out Simon Brown when he fought for the world title. I think.
He beat Simon Brown, unanimous decision. 9 years after he turned pro, he beat Simon Brown, unanimous decision. He also beat Meldrick Taylor.
Imagine that.
He knocked out Charles Whitaker. That was for titles also. This guy, all right, now I got to beg the question. What the hell? How do you... This is only in boxing can you do this, right? I'm not going to say there's a bunch of stories like this, but if, Roberto, you see a guy who's like this, like, you're all like, okay, you want to root for him. It happened to us in Parral, Chihuahua. We were at the hotel, and you told me that there was a guy there who came out at the hotel, and you're like, hey, 5 years ago, this guy beat somebody. He beat an undefeated guy, and he's going to come in and battle.
Oh, yeah. Saleta.
Yes.
Saleta.
So Saleta fought that night against one of the promoters' undefeated kids, Güerito, a good-looking kid, strong. And I even asked the promoter, hey, why'd you put him in with Saleta? Oh, no, my kid's really good. I said, but that's a veteran. Nah. Watch. The Saleta family, they've had 2 other brothers. This other Saleta that fought that night in Chihuahua had like 1 fight. I think Joel, I think he won. Saleta beat the little Güerito.
Yes,
he did.
He
right?
did. And it was like the second fight of the night.
Yeah,
yes.
It was a big upset.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the one you're talking about, I'm sorry, I confused them. The one you're talking about ended up losing, but almost won. That kid fought for me against Vic Darchinian back in Belize. And he was this close to beating Vic Darchinian. That same night, Cano knocked out Jorge Silva, La Pantera Silva.
Yeah.
And he took the fight that day in Parral on a week's notice, and he almost won, but he got hit with a body shot, and he got knocked out.
Yeah.
But he was winning. I'm like, oh, man, this kid's winning.
But that's the thing. It's these kids will come through, and they'll go through it, but then later on years, they're those gatekeepers, the tough guys out there. And that's why I want to go with this is the backbone of boxing are these guys that have a record of 20-18 who are just battling back and forth. Like Roberto, how do you do it as a matchmaker where you're like, this guy is way past his prime, long in the tooth, but damn it, he's gonna come in and perform for me. Like, how do you have that confidence in like I can put him up against a young monster?
Well, when you think it's time for that young kid to take the next step, let's say he's knocking everybody out, the young kid. Now you want to put him in with something. You want to see him go rounds too before you make that next step to a former world champion or to fight for a world title. You want to put them in and see when they hit back what's going to happen. So you find somebody that's very durable. A lot of the times, these very durable guys are the hungry guys that are always in the gym. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Orlando Salido, Mickey Roman. Those guys didn't have the prettiest records, but they were always there to fight. And if you were on an off night, you could get surprised. Look, Lomachenko, one of the greatest fighters to step in the ring, thought it was that easy to go in and win a world title. I think in his second fight, fought Orlando Salido for the world title, or in his first fight, and lost, which was a blessing in disguise, because if not, everybody's going to think, oh, it's easy to win a world title.
Yeah. Roberto, there was another kid from Tijuana that you used to bring a lot before. What was his name? You used to bring him a lot when you had a prospect fighter coming up. I remember one time I saw him, are you still fighting? And he would tell me, yeah, pues me traen aquí pa calar este morro, huh? Yeah, like, he was a veteran fighter from Tijuana. Roberto brought him a lot because he was a tough veteran fighter. Very tough.
It might be Humberto Tapia.
But those kind of guys, right, Joel? That you said that he comes in to test these young kids.
Yeah.
And if that young kid is not in their best moment, they're gonna have a hard time, but they're gonna learn a lot, because these kids are just waiting for that upset to break the tie. Maybe it's Jorge Silva. I brought him a lot. In fact, I signed him even after he lost to Pedro Angulo here in LA. I signed him.
I was
off a loss
when Pantera Silva beat Angulo. Oh, that's when Julio, my brother, fought Sean Porter.
That's right.
Amir Khan fought Molina that night
at the sports arena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joel Diaz made his pro debut.
That was on
Leo Santa Cruz fought that night. Deontay Wilder fight that. I mean,
that was on amazing card on CBS Network too. CBS Channel 2 at the old sports arena.
Yeah, you know what happens to these kind of fighters, Beto, and sometimes, and I saw it. These fighters with a really bad record. Going back to the subject we talked about last week. Remember that kid I told you, Martinez, El Pez, the guy that beat El Pez, who beat Alejandro Perez. Alejandro Perez was going to fight for a world title, and when Pez beat him, he was like 19-12 or something like that. See what happens with these fighters? They're really tough, but they don't have the support, either economical support or whatever it is. Back in Mexico, Martinez would always train, but not all out for a fight. But he was always staying in shape. And what happens is they call him within 2 weeks notice, 1 week's notice. And he told me one day, he says, Coach, when I fought against what was that kid that beat Vicente Escobedo on his last fight?
Broner?
No. After Broner. What was the kid that beat Escobedo, Roberto? After Broner, he fought one more fight after that. Well,
yeah, I remember.
Well, after that, he told me, "Hey, Coach, when I fought him, I had to lose 12 pounds in 2 days, and I took the fight because I needed the money."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad part about these fighters, because they take fights at last minute because
Fernando Carcomo.
No, not Carcamo.
Or Edner Cherry?
Edner Cherry.
Edner Cherry was a tough kid. Strong.
When Martinez fought him, and he told me, I took the fight because I needed the money. Give me a second, guys. Real quick.
No problem.
And you know what happens, Beto, is a lot of times these kids are called on the 1 week notice because you lost the original opponent and you know that they'll take the fight if the money's right. You know they're always in the gym training. But you also know they're dangerous. You don't want to give them 2 months notice. Or it's not really a promotable fight because people are going to say, oh, he has 18 losses. I'll give you a quick story with Rocky Juarez. We were doing Telefutura. And I tried to do a fight, and they wouldn't let me do it. Telefutura, who really wasn't hard on approving fights, said, nah, when the fans tune in, they already know Rocky Juarez is going to lose. And I said, you're crazy. Who has he lost to? Barrera, Marquez, Zorrita Soto, all world champions. And I was trying to match him with Antonio Escalante. And they said, no, we won't approve it. Get us a better record. So I got Antonio Escalante a better record, and Antonio Escalante knocked out the better record. I don't remember who it was, like in 2 or 3 rounds. Then a good friend of mine that worked for Telefutura said, Robert, if you really think the Juarez fight...
He knocked out Leonilo Miranda.
Yes, Escalante knocked out Miranda, who had a very good record.
He was 32-4 at that time.
And I said, see, guys, records don't mean anything if they haven't fought anybody. In the next fight, Escalante fought Rocky Juarez because my friend at Telefutura said, if you really believe that fight's good, push it through. Don't let them tell you no. So I pushed it through. What happened? Rocky Juarez knocked out Antonio Escalante in a very good fight. So it's not the record, it's who they've lost to that sometimes makes that diamond. I mean, it roughs up the edges, it shapes them up and makes them better fighters.
Now, Roberto, I'm asking you this. As a matchmaker, when you're looking for these last minute, as Mr. Boxing Guru say, these paisa dudes who just come in for take no matter amount of money, like, what is one of these guys making?
It depends on the level of fight and where you're at, but I mean, they're making, if it's last minute, they're gonna basically, the cards are on their side. I mean, they have the ball on their court and they'll tell you.
Okay, let me scenario. The fight's on Friday, you call him Tuesday because something fell out and you need somebody last minute because your prospect has to fight and he sold a bunch of tickets.
Let's say it's a 10-round fight, not a world title, nothing major. They can make anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30,000.
No.
Yeah. Where if I would have called them 2 months ago, it might have been 10. Now it's 20. I have to. The show has to happen. This kid has to fight, so I have to make sure that this opponent is ready to go. And if on Tuesday I lost the fight, I'll give you an example. Joel Diaz was on a Canelo undercard in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were working with him, Coach. I don't know if at that time.
No, I wasn't, but I remember that fight.
His opponent came in 8 pounds over on Monday at the weigh-in. I know at the grand arrival on Tuesday.
At the grand arrival,
didn't show up.
The opponent showed up. He showed up. The grand arrival, he showed up.
Yep.
We made him. He didn't want to go. Oh, I'm gonna work out. I don't need to be. You have to be here. So he showed up. They did the face-off, and then he said, "I'm going to the gym." That's Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, I get a call from the gym, from somebody at the gym saying, "Hey, Roberto, this kid's very heavy." What do you mean? How heavy? I don't know because I'm not part of his team, but I'm just letting you know he's very heavy. A couple hours later, I get the call from his team that he hurt his back and that he's in the hospital and he's not going to fight.
All of a sudden, huh?
One of the pay-per-view fights.
Yep.
And JoJo's fighting for. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Now, originally,
Jorge Lara from Mexico. That Aldair.
Yes.
Aldair jumps in. Good job, Aldair.
Hey, ese mi Aldair, saludos.
Ese sí.
Now, originally, JoJo was supposed to fight Rafael Rivera, who's a Thompson fighter.
Yep.
But when Lara was forced by the organization, I think it was a title eliminator, I was like, hey, Alex, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to put Rivera. So Alex programmed on his show like 1 or 2 weeks after Rivera.
Yeah, I was going to work that one.
So on Tuesday night, after I get the call that Lara pulled out, I called Alex. I said, hey, is Rivera still available? He goes, well, he's training because he's going to fight on my show. Can you pull him out, send him right now to Vegas tomorrow morning? We'll do all the medicals, make sure he's on weight, and he'll fight JoJo.
Ooh.
Obviously, the original purse changed. But the kid showed up, made weight, and went the distance with JoJo, and gave a very good fight.
So if that situation, the opponent has all the cards, right? Because he could demand a bunch of money and say, because it's a pay-per-view and it's the Canelo Triple G1, you got to have it so he can control it. Obviously, they want to work well with you, right? But to an extent, but as they say, at the end of those levels, right, where you are like.
There's times, Beto. There's times in which your opponent makes more money than the actual fighter.
No,
that happens a lot. Absolutely.
Because
you're right.
They got the highest card. I've seen it in different occasions where they know that they need them, and they're gonna make the weight, and the fight's done. They got the medicals because the promoter looks for a fighter that is ready to fight with medicals, and is gonna make the weight. Okay. And if it's, I mean, we've seen it with Beck on his last fight at the Forum. Remember, Periban got sick the night before the weigh-in.
Yeah, Tonio saying on Valentine's Day in Honda Center that Periban went to the hospital the day of the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
I was in Medellin, Colombia.
Yeah.
I was in Medellin, Colombia for a wedding, and I got the call 6 a.m. Periban's not gonna fight. And this was the day before the weigh-in, Joel, or the day of the weigh-in?
It was the day of the weigh-in in the morning.
Yes, it was Friday. And I said, you got to be kidding me. Now, I'm super stressed because I need Beck to fight. But how are you going to find a replacement in less than 24 hours? How? Now, I called a couple people. I'm in Medellin. I called a couple people. We flew in a guy from Guadalajara. And see, that's what the fans don't understand sometimes, because I read comments after.
Tell them. Tell the people who listen to Mr. Boxing Guru, que no sabe nada. Tell them.
Well, the comments were, he was a bum. The opponent sucked. Okay. What do you expect from on 24-hour notice? The kid had to fly from Guadalajara to L.A. I think he had all his medicals or had to do a few medicals.
Yeah, that's why.
They weighed in Saturday morning, I believe, Joel.
Yeah.
And
Saturday morning.
They stepped in. I think we went higher than Beck's usual weight. He couldn't defend his title. They went higher and all.
They went from 168 to 175.
Just to accommodate the other kid, because I can't expect the other kid to say, okay, you're coming in to save the show, but, by the way, you got to go drop 10 pounds. I mean, that's not, I'm going to have maybe a casualty. So whatever you weigh, Beck will adjust. And thank God, obviously the relationship with the team, the management, the trainer, they trust. And the kid, I want to fight. I don't care who it is. You bring me a heavyweight, I'll fight him. And he knocked him out in the first round. And then the fans would comment, but this guy was a bum. Beck didn't show me anything. Okay, it's not Beck's fault.
Yeah.
No.
My main purpose was Beck fought that night and obviously got the win.
So, not that guy, but say it's a 6-round fight where you got to save the fight. How much is a kid making like that?
On a regular basis, a 6-rounder might make $3,000.
Wow. Okay.
Might go up to $10,000. It might go up to $10,000. It just depends. I shouldn't be sharing these secrets because now they're going to be putting the pistola. I mean, I'm not.
It don't matter. But here's the thing. It's also, you got to know your worth, right? You can't be a guy who's 8 and 15 demanding this, right? You got to know what you are and if you're tougher and stuff like that. So is that why you as matchmakers, you and Razo and Alda here who's coming through, that's why you guys are always like making sure the relationships are always good all over the world, right? Like every gym.
You need to. For that fight with Beck, when Periban was taken to the hospital, the first call to me straight was Razo. Razo was stressing. And he called me. He
just wrote that. He said, I was stressing.
I mean, I'm telling you, I can tell Razo is a great guy, man, and I can tell right away.
Let's go, gallo.
Es mi gallo. I mean, Razo is the type of person that he's always on it, and when he runs into a situation like that, oh man, he's like, oh shit. So he calls me early morning before anybody, like early morning. He's like, hey gallo, oh man, we have problems. What's going on? Perivan is not gonna make weight. What do you mean, gallo? Yeah, he was taken to the hospital. He's having problems. Really? Yeah, but, and I asked him, is there anything? He goes, I'm going to try. So then he got on the phone making calls. I even told him, hey, let me see if I can find somebody. I made some calls to some people.
Wait, you were trying to look for an opponent?
For because I know a lot of people that have fighters that are always, hey, we want to fight. So I told Razo, and then all of a sudden, when Vadim was notified, and then Vadim is making his calls, and then Roberto found out.
Yeah.
Roberto, so it's a big deal among everybody. But those are the things that Roberto says. That's the things that people don't see that we go through.
Yeah.
And the first thing they see is, oh,
thank you.
Nobody. They're like, he didn't show me anything. But they don't know the stress that goes behind the process of making that fight happen, because Beck had already been training for that particular day. I mean, diet, heavy work, sparring, all that stuff to fight.
And living away from his home. I mean, they come out here to train with Joel to get a date to fight, and then to be told, oh, you're not fighting because your opponent fell out, and you know what, we couldn't find anybody. I mean, it happens, but you try everything you can so that you can get a replacement. In this particular moment, gracias a Dios, we found a replacement. Obviously, we want rounds. As a promoter, we want to give the fans entertainment. We want to give them a good fight. But sometimes there's obstacles.
Yeah, and it's for all you people say, like, why are you guys talking about money? Why are you talking about money? The secrets. Dumbass is California Commission puts out a sheet of how much everybody made. It's there. Go look at Dan Rayfield's tweets. He puts how much everybody's making every fight. So don't worry about it.
I don't agree with those.
Some people.
Dan Rayfield.
Some people are not as fortunate as Beck. Some people really train.
I've seen it a lot of times where it just fall out. It happened at the last OC Fair show where Razo, what's that guy's name? Diego Pacheco, who is a matchroom fighter. His opponent didn't make weight, but nobody told the kid. The kid shows up to fight, and nobody told the kid that guy didn't get cleared or something like that. So there's a lot of, look, this is why we have these conversations, because there's a lot of stress that goes on behind the scenes, and that's why I never tweet about boxing. I never talk about anything, because everybody is like, oh, you did this, and that. It's like, if you only knew the stress of what the accounting department has to do, the travel department has to do, the matchmaker, heck, even the damn drivers, what they have to do, try to figure out to make sure that the guy showed up at the airport. Like, there's so much going on.
Sometimes these guys show up at the airport, get their own ride. Our guys are there waiting for them for an hour, 2 hours. Hey, Robert, I can't find this guy. It's like, what do you mean? And then you start making calls. Oh, I'm already at the hotel. Who did you tell? Oh, I have friends here, and you didn't tell us.
Yeah.
So now these guys are backed up for 2 hours. They got to rush over to the hotel, pick the guy up, take him to medicals. And we're stressing because if he doesn't get all the medicals done, you're not going to be allowed to fight.
Yeah.
So I'm yelling at them, hey, guys, hurry up. Get them to the medicals. Talk to their nurses. Get them through, push it. So there is a lot of little things that can turn into big things and cause a problem.
Yeah, it was Alexis Espino. And the reason I'm bringing that up is there's so many things that go on normally. So when people are saying, oh, during this coronavirus, the COVID, and the pandemic, like, this is how hard it's going to be to get a fight to be made normally, let alone right now. So it's interesting. I like bringing that and taking people behind the scenes because, like, the boxing fans are always they're chirping about everything.
Well, those are the ones we need, because if they make noise, that means we're doing something. You know? But honestly, that's the way I see it. I mean, it got to a point where I always see a lot of boxing fans, they talk good about our sport, our job, and whatever we do. And there's some that talk bad. But at the end of the day, we need them both. We need them both, because if they're not talking about you, worry, because you're not doing anything. That's the way I see it. When Diego Magdaleno was supposed to fight on the Terrence Crawford undercard, that was a really sad situation. He was supposed to fight a kid by the last name of Ortiz. And it gets to a point, Beto, where the other team is overweight. The kid is overweight, and they're stressing about making a weight. And they come to me and they tell me, "Hey, can you help him make weight?" I mean, that guy's going against my fighter, and that kid came in like 9 pounds over. Didn't make weight, and then all of a sudden the promoter cancels his rooms, cancels his flights, everything, and that's a sad moment for, and people don't see this. People don't see this. They just, I mean, Diego Magdaleno was not fortunate enough to fight that day because they couldn't find a replacement in the last moment. The day other weigh-ins, the kid didn't make weight, 9 pounds over, and all of a sudden there was no fight. So he doesn't get paid. Nobody gets paid. At the end of the day.
It's as Manny Robles said, deporte de los pobres. It's maldita pobreza. It's crazy out there. All right, we had a good little talk for an hour. Roberto Diaz has his Johnny Walker Blue. He's hanging out with the commenters today. Joel Diaz has his Granada. What is it? Granada. Ponche de Granada. And I got a fancy little wine from Napa, which is pretty cool. I did tag the winery. It's called I don't even know. I tagged them. I've been drinking pretty good. But they wrote me back. They were going to send me a bottle. So, woohoo! ThursDIAZ already paid off.
Come on. Hey, maybe Roberto may tag the Louis 13 too.
Send us bottles. Send bottles to Living the Dream, baby. Living the Dream. Beto Duran.
No, this bottle is homemade. It's only $20.
Yeah,
so.
Saludos a todos. Salud. So if you're drinking at home, saludos a todos. Salud, un brindis. Salud. All right.
Salud a toda mi gente.
All right. Now, if you guys want to ask good questions, not pendejada questions, Guru. Good questions. We will get through them. And so we've already.
Always Guru.
Mr. Boxing Guru podcast on iTunes and Spotify. He's actually pretty good. He's one of the guys I actually listen to. Because a lot of other guys do different things, but Guru's podcast is good. He comes from the fan perspective. And if you ever need Adidas, which nobody here does, we'll be all right. Because we're all Team Nike. Now, the question, here, we already answered them earlier. We don't know when boxing is coming back, and we don't know how it's going to happen. So if you have any other questions, feel free to go through it, and we will get through it. Coach, let me ask you right now. I see on your social media that there's guys in your gym. How are you training them?
Well, I mean,
illegally.
Well, we can say illegally.
Well, we don't. They're undocumented. They're not illegal.
Yeah, they are undocumented. They don't have visas. That's why they can't go home. Well, no, the thing is this, Beto. I mean, since all this started, I have not stopped training. But I'm not training a bunch of people. I'm just training the fighters that couldn't make it home. Like Abney, a kid from Turkey, is here. A kid from Germany is here, and a guy from Kazakhstan, Ruslan Medvedev, and Shakram Jihasov. Those 4 fighters, they couldn't make it home. They stay here, but the reason why I train them is because, I mean, they follow the same guidelines as me. Go to the gym, they go home, they come to the gym. I mean, when they go to the supermarket, same what we do. You wear your mask, you wear gloves. That's it. So I know we are okay, and we're always on top of each other. Hey, they don't go nowhere. So even Marcelino Lopez is stuck here. But Marcelino Lopez, he is really disciplined on it. Like he told me, Coach, no, he's at home. He don't leave nowhere. He hung a bag on the backyard, and he trains in his backyard. Lucas is a strength and conditioning coach, is in touch with him through the phone, and he puts a workout for him to do on the backyard. When I go to the house, on the backyard, he has a setup where he has all his work. So Marcelino is the only one that's stuck at home and doesn't want to go in because that's what he wants, and I respect it. He just wants to stay home. The other guys, they come to the gym, and in the gym, we have a front door, a side door, and a back door. Everybody parks, they scatter the cars, and basically everybody just has one entry, and that's it. Nobody knows. But like I said, I'm allowed through the people there, but no groups more than 10. It's okay. But as long as we don't train kids, we're not allowed to train kids because it's a Boys and Girls Club facility. But they gave us the permission to train adults, but no more, not a group more than 10.
It's very.
I'll tell you on Ruslan. It's a sad story. Ruslan was a Triple G fighter. Did the majority of his career with Triple G and K2 or Triple G promotions. I'm not sure. He fought Pablo Cesar Cano a couple nights before. You called that fight, Beto?
Yeah, at the Hard Rock.
At the Hard Rock, he lost to Cano. And then he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm free. I'm a free agent. Would you work with me? I like how you guys treated Cano and fought for Cano after the headbutt and I saw a tremendous fighter. Luckily, Cano was on one of his best nights, and nobody was going to stop him.
It was a good scrap, real good scrap.
It was. But I saw talent there, and I said, absolutely. We signed him. I get his work visa done. I get all his paperwork done. He's out here. And they called me a couple weeks ago saying, is there any fight dates? I said, we're in a pandemic. There is no fight dates. So should I go back home? I said, I can't tell you that. That's a decision you have to make. I don't know if tomorrow or next week or in 2 weeks they're going to lift this. You're here training. But he has a wife and a baby, a newborn. And he's missing them. He's here alone. So it's like, I can't tell you. That's a decision you have to make. And he says, he found out, he made calls, because he's in the U.S., if he went home, they were going to quarantine him 14 days before he can even get home.
Yeah.
So he tells me, what do I do? And I said, Ruslan, bring your wife and kids. Stay here. You're already here. And you're on a permit to be here. And if it's because you miss your wife and kids, bring them. But they can't fly right now because obviously there's no flights coming out from, So he's in that situation where the fans have to understand how these fighters sacrifice.
Yeah.
And what they put in to get what they want. This kid has an ambition. He's only fought for Golden Boy once.
Yeah.
StubHub. In fact, when
I like him. I like him a lot.
He's a good kid. Tremendous talent. He had like 300 amateur fights.
Yeah.
Great. A funny story is when he walks in the ring, Joel was already training him because they asked me, hey, you recommend a trainer? They left Abel, and I said, well, Joel Diaz.
Oh, he left Abel when Triple G left Abel. That's right.
Well, he left Triple G before.
Yeah.
He left Triple G before Triple G left Abel.
Yeah, it was like that whole time, yeah.
So he asked me, I recommended Joel. He goes and trains in Indio. He fights in at the StubHub. And I asked Cano, who's a guest, hey, would you mind stepping in the ring and receiving Ruslan and like motivate him, pump him up? Now, I don't know Ruslan. What if Ruslan walks into the ring and says, what the fuck's this guy doing here? And then, like, throws him off. It could affect him mentally. Like, why would Golden Boy do this?
Yeah.
But that told me who the kid is. When Cano said, absolutely, Cano's a great kid, walked in the ring, was clapping. Ruslan walks in, sees Cano. Actually went. I don't know if it was a hug.
There was.
It actually was like.
Yeah, because I was working that card, and I was in the ring when it happened. And I even looked at you, and you looked at me, and you're like that little pinche Bobby smile. That I'm up to something.
And I wanted to pump him. I didn't. Obviously, he's a Golden Boy fighter at the point. I want him to say, look, what happened then, and there could be a rematch down the line. Yeah. But right now, we're family.
Yeah. And
he's here to support you. And Ruslan had a tough fight, but it was because he had been out the ring so long. And take all the intangibles off. First time with Joel.
And it was 100 degrees that day. It was fucking hot. That was Ryan Garcia was supposed to fight the kid Avery Sparrow. It was that weekend. It was just a mess. Un desmadre. All right, here's a question for Joel Diaz from Juan Tena. Have you ever had a boxer have to go to the bathroom right before the fight? Or even during the fight?
Many times.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But they got their gloves on.
Exactly.
That's why they have good coaches. That's why they have good coaches.
That's why they get attached to me so much. That's why all these guys, they're like, oh, hey, coach, I love you. But no, not that. The thing is this: I've had situations where fighters say, coach, I gotta go to the bathroom, and like, what do you want me to do? You got the gloves on, and when you get the gloves on, and you get the tape, the commission signs them, and you can't take. So I've done it where I walk with them to the bathroom, and I just pull the pants down, and then I just have to pick them up. They do the rest. I don't, I'm not gonna be out there helping them out. We have to do what we have to do, We got Robert, no. Hey, dude, face the wall, and I just that's it, and then I just put it back up. Simple as that. You're gonna run into a lot of different things in boxing. A lot of different things. I'm gonna tell you one thing, and Antonio's listening. Antonio's watching. We had a show at the Boys and Girls Club. It was an exhibition show, like an amateur exhibition show. And we're in the corner, and we see this kid fighting this other kid, and all of a sudden we see all over the ring, we see like little Hershey's kisses all over the
No shit.
Then we're like, what's going on? Hey, what's that? And we're looking around, who's throwing that, And then as soon as you get the toilet paper or towels and you wipe it up, this guy literally shit what he was fighting, and it was falling up all over the ring. And that was like, I'm telling you, you're always gonna have surprises in the sport.
You never know, because it could be the stress. It's not so much that, or they ate something at the weigh-in. Keep in mind, I learned this where my years with Barrera, that a fighter during their camp is eating somewhat healthy.
Very healthy.
They're cutting fats, they're cutting grease, but what happens after the weigh-in? They want to fucking have a hamburger. They want to have the pizza. They want to have that grease. They want to feel like, oh, it's over. Now I can eat soda. And sometimes that hits your stomach. Look, we're not fighters. Try it for a week or two. Eat clean for 1 or 2 weeks. And then eat that hamburger, eat that fried food, eat that this. Chorro. That's why they call it chorro, porque Hershey kisses all over the ring.
And that right there is the promo for next week. Make sure you listen to ThursDIAZ where we tell you about chorro. That's the
chorro. No, it's very different as far as the way it was before and the way it is now. If Antonio's watching right now, if we knew the nutrition that is nowadays before, I think everything would have been different. But we learned the hard way. Antonio, you can ask Antonio and say, Antonio, what was the thing that you used to eat after a weigh-in? Nowadays, I take a fighter to a fight. To a weigh-in. After they weigh in, I take them, and obviously you're gonna have some protein, some vegetables and whatnot. And Antonio, during his career, after every weigh-in, a whole pizza and a Coke.
Well, I know from Barrera, Joel, that one thing they like about the Coke, and I don't know if that's Antonio felt the same, but
and we're talking about Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Please, yes. Thank you, Beto. They Marco would tell me, "Ay, se me antoja una Coca-Cola por lo rasposo." Lo rasposo, like that gas hitting that throat, like the bubbles and everything. It was like, it's not that it's healthy, but they, after drinking water or drinking whatever through the whole camp, now they made weight. I just want the lo rasposo to like, Exactly.
There's a question from our research department, Ace of SoCal, from Michelada Time. Does this situation, the pandemic, make it tougher for you to make cross-promotion fights? So, like, say, working with Top Rank or PBC or whoever it is, or whatever it is.
No. With us, and I speak as far as myself and Golden Boy, we've never had a problem do cross-promotion fights. But
with the pandemic, is it harder?
No. I think it's going to be the same. It was harder before. I think now it could be easier, because I think you're going to have, after this is over, we get green lighted, more fighters willing to fight. because they want to fight, because they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. So once we're green lighted, I think the fans, and this is something for the fans that are listening, you're going to get some very good fights, at least from the beginning. Maybe once it passes in a couple of years, we'll hopefully not go back to where we are, where I'm not going to fight you, and I'm not, only if it's pay-per-view or what have you. But out the gate, I think we're going to have some very, very good fights. Look, you're seeing it right now. People are calling each other out. They want to fight. I mean, Linares and Ryan Garcia have been going back and forth.
Ryan's going with everybody. Ryan wants to fight everybody right now. Tell him to make up his mind.
But you got to give it to the kid. He ready to fight whoever. And I'll tell you what. One thing is talk. Ryan's ready to fight whoever. Ryan will fight whoever, and Ryan can beat a lot of these guys. And the fans. And I told him the other day. I said to somebody the other day. I said, no matter who he beats tomorrow, there's still going to be critics. Oh, but he didn't beat this. That's boxing. That's boxing fans, and they're never satisfied. They always want more. Yeah. They want to up it. Today, Ryan. I'd love to do Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, Matchroom and Golden Boy. I'd love to do if Mayweather wants to relive Golden Boy against TMT, Ryan Garcia against Gervonta Davis. Why not? I mean, those are the fights that Ryan wants.
But you're not going to do that 4th of July, right?
I mean, no. And but it's not because of us. I'll tell you that. I mean, But before the end, I mean, we can do it before the end of the year. Ryan, look, 1 or 2 fights, and Ryan's ready to fight whoever.
Okay, so before the end of the year, Ryan is fighting Devin Haney or Tank Davis.
If they accept. I mean, we can't force them into the ring. They have to accept too. I just know that Ryan will accept, and Ryan's ready to fight whoever.
There's a lot of turns.
And not only fight whoever. I'm very confident he'll beat them.
Golden Boy matchmaker Roberto Diaz. I didn't know we were getting into a show about propaganda and like selling it, but this is supposed to be this madre that Tio's talking in the backyard. But hey, go for it! Salud, salud to everybody. Salud. If you guys want to have like the discussion about my fighter fights your fighter, go on the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. That's where the politica's at. But right now we're asking questions from the fans. How about this one from Marco Favela? For both of you, especially Roberto, what's the one thing you never knew about boxing that you learned after being in the business? So going from being a fan, and then once you're in the business, what'd you learn?
I think it would be how difficult it is to make a fight. As a fan, you sit back and say, why don't they make this fight?
It's easy.
Easy. That's, it should be easy. However, there's obstacles. The wife doesn't want the husband to fight him. The manager doesn't want them. Sometimes the trainer says, no, it's not time yet. It's very rare that the fighter says, I don't want to fight him. But there's so many obstacles of why that fight can't be made. I have to be the A side. I have to walk first. The billing has to be this. Little things. And that's one of the hardest things. But now being on this side of making them, you try to accommodate everybody as long as it's a fight that's worth making.
As long as it's a fight that's worth making. All right, last call for fight questions because my wine is running low, and I know the Johnny Walker's running low, and the Granada is running low. So
no. Johnny Walker is still queda 3/4.
Oh well, then since I fixed the computer, we're just gonna keep on going. And where's your IT guy? Did he ever show up? Otra salud.
Ese cabrón, he's on vacation.
Hey, and if you call him while he's on vacation,
no me contesta.
The price is gonna go up to $200 an hour. Remember, last week was $150. So when you're on vacation, hey, the price goes higher.
Oh man, that's good. So you're listening to the ThursDIAZ. Make sure you guys share, and if you're missing out on this, you can go back and watch on YouTube. Go to my page at Beto Duran. If not, if you're listening, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff, it's available out there for you. So Roberto, one of the questions I want to have for you is when you're making a fight, say a undefeated kid who is maybe one fight away from a championship fight, Like, let's say, for example, Ryan Garcia. When you hear a kid calling somebody out, or he's saying, I want to fight these guys, and you know that he's not quite ready, like, say, Ryan 2 years ago, how do you tell him, like, look, here's the reality of what's going on in the business? How do you explain the business to these young kids that want everything yesterday?
So, great question. I'll give you a good example. We had a kid that tremendous talent. And if he's listening, or if he hears, or somebody knows him that hears, let him know that I've always admired him and respected him. In the ring, tremendous talent is Genaro Gomez. I don't know, Joel, if you are familiar with him, Genaro Gomez.
Great kid.
The day he debuted, I believe it was at the Velasco.
Mm-hmm.
He came in all in white.
Mm-hmm.
Sombrero, blanco.
Beautiful.
I mean, right away, he caught your attention.
Bobby, at the weigh-in, I was like, who is this kid? And you told me, look for this kid. And he walked into the weigh-in. I'm like, fucking Roberto got something here.
Oh, yeah. Very tough kid.
The kid had balls. He had talent. I mean, even in the fight he lost to Luis Feliciano, he showed a lot of heart. And he was fighting in a weight that wasn't his. He shouldn't have been fighting. But that's his kryptonite. Weight. Always had trouble making weight. So going back to that question is that made it difficult, because you see talent. You see tremendous talent. And it just didn't unfold because the discipline wasn't there. And sometimes that happens because they're so talented. I'll wait for next week. I'll wait for that. And they struggle.
Yeah, so Gomez was, I remember you telling me, if this kid makes 130, he's a monster. But he couldn't make 135. He was a little guy. He was knocking out, training with Robert Garcia in San Diego, but he would, I think Robert managed him, but he trained with his dad. He was always coming in at 138, and it was fluffy. He's a kid who actually, you know what? If I'm not mistaken, he's a kid who had to pay an opponent more just to have a fight one time.
You're absolutely right. There was a fight, and see, that's the things that what Joel was saying earlier.
Yeah.
There was a fight where Genaro came in overweight, and normally the opponent can get 20%. Oh no, I'm sorry. The fighter that is overweight gets fined 20%. 10% goes to the commission, 10% goes to the opponent. The opponent said, I don't care for 10%. I'm not going to fight. You make weight or there's no fight. Genaro said, I'll pay you my full purse.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The full purse.
So the fighter.
Wait, hold on. Let me get this right. Genaro said, I'll fight you for free?
Genaro fought for free that night.
Yeah, no other choice.
Either that or the kid wasn't going to fight him. So Genaro said, look, I want to fight. I'll pay you my full purse. And it's unfortunate because if there's discipline there and it makes weight, there's no need to do that. And it's not like Genaro came in on 1 week notice. I had to let him go, which was one of the most difficult things.
Oh, you cut him?
I've had to. Yeah, I had to let him go because it happened too many times. And it's a kid that has tremendous talent. And I've had heart-to-hearts with him, and I said, look, Genaro, you have so much going for you. But going back to that, your original question is, he came into the office, he had 4 fights, and said, put me in with Ryan Garcia. I said, Genaro, you're a 6-rounder. He goes, yeah, doesn't matter. Put me in with Ryan. Put me in with Lomachenko if you want. I'm going to show you who I am. And I had to tell him it makes no business sense to fight Ryan or Lomachenko. If you really want to fight Ryan, which could be a tremendous fight down the road in a couple of years, make weight. Let me televise you. Let me put you on main events. Ryan fights 1 week, you fight the next week. Ryan fights the next week, you fight the following week. And let me promote both of you, because this can be this generation's De La Hoya versus Vargas.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you thought of him that much?
Of course.
Wow.
Oh, Gennado's a tremendous fight.
I like him. I like him.
Tremendous fight.
We never saw anything good. We never saw the real Genaro, which is sad.
No, we did. In fact, he.
No, I'm saying, Bobby, because you said at 130 he'd be a monster because he's only 5'5".
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you?
I remember him fighting at Fantasy Springs one night. He knocked out his opponent in the first round, I think.
Yep.
Threw him out of the ring.
Yep.
And as soon as he came out of the ring, I told Robert Garcia and Genaro, "You're on the next card. Don't take a break. You're on the next card. I'm going to take somebody off the card just to put you on the card." I knew that Genaro was a guy that I had to keep busy. As soon as he fought, get him right back in the gym so he won't blow up in weight. But what would happen is he wouldn't show up to camp. He'd blow up in weight and then show up a week into camp, like a week before the fight, and try to cut the weight. And it was going to catch up. It's sooner or later.
How hard is that, Roberto, to know that somebody's that talented and give him his walking papers?
It's very hard. It's very hard. I mean, Frankie Gomez is one that comes to mind.
Oof. One
of the most talented kids I've ever seen. I mean, Frankie Gomez could have been a world champion early. And not only a world champion, but also a hero because, you know, Mexican-American, East LA, undefeated, but he belonged in the ring. In the ring where he was comfortable. But he had to fight outside obstacles. And they won. There's many in boxing that we never hear of because of that.
Who's some of those guys, Joel? Like, I'm pretty sure you've dealt with guys or trained with guys where you're like, man, because you know what? I hear the names Panchito Mojado, Frankie Gomez all the damn time of like what could have been. I think Genaro Gomez, nice kid, good family. Hopefully he turns it around. But Joel, as a trainer, when you have those kids who aren't disciplined, you can only say so much. But at the same time, when do you just say, I'm done, wash the hands?
You know what? Trainers are very different. Some trainers have more patience than others. I've seen trainers where first time, hey, you're out of here, you know? And I think I've given some of those fighters too many chances. And as bad as it sounds, I can tell you this. I've had a few fighters that are similar to Genaro Gomez, similar to Frankie Gomez, fighters that could have been superstars. And to me, one of the fighters that, 1 year, 2 years, and I had high hopes, man. I go, man, this guy to me could be one of the greatest because of his style, his power, his heart, everything. Omar Figueroa should have never be fighting at 147. He was a 135 pounder, even to this day. Omar Figueroa was a fighter that, even in his last fights with me, he didn't make weight. When he promised me he was.
Wait, hold on. Omar Figueroa, is that the kid from Texas?
Texas, yeah.
He's the one who got busted for DUI while in camp, right?
Yeah.
That's him?
Yeah. That kid, honestly, and Roberto knows, well spoken. Everything. The power in his fist was devastating. He will knock people out in sparring. He was a 135, 140 pounder at the time. He will knock out 147, 154 pounders. And he would tell me, Coach, I don't want to hit him hard. Come on, you got to go, Coach, I'll hurt him. And he would prove to me. I knew Omar in the personal level. I knew his character, his feelings, his anger, everything. And, when he fought John Molina, it was very stressful because we got there on Wednesday, tried to lose weight Wednesday, Thursday. The day of the weigh-ins, he was overweight, calling the promoter, and then he didn't make weight. He was 4 pounds over, and then trying to rehydrate him. It was just fight after fight after fight. So I said, you know what? Why am I putting this on myself? If this kid don't want it, another kid that Golden Boy had signed before, that basically we were monitoring him 24 hours a day, and we don't have to do that.
Come
Javier
on.
Martinez.
These are like
Javier-
grown-ass men. They're professionals. What do you mean 24 hours a day?
Exactly. I had a kid that Rafael Heredia managed. His name is Javier Martinez from Texas. Golden Boy.
Oh.
I mean, there was a time where he couldn't lose 3 pounds in a month, and he would tell me, "I'm doing everything right." No, you're not. I mean, how can you not lose 3 pounds in 1 month? And then they would tell me at the house, "Coach, this guy wakes up in the middle of the night and he's all over the fridge." There was times in which I would tell the guys at the hey, you know what, check up on him, and if you guys hear him walk down the stairs, Coach, he walks down the stairs every night and he's eating at night. And there was times they would use the pool sticks because they have a pool table at the camp house. They would put pool sticks and the lights were off, and he would walk down the stairs at night. He would never turn on the lights so people will not see him. So as soon as you hear the sticks fall, okay, they wake up. What's going on? Oh, where are you going?
Come on.
The day he fought.
Wait, that guy had like what, 4 fights?
Yeah, 4 or 5 fights.
He was an elite fighter, and it was a top elite fighter.
He made the Olympic team. He made the Olympic team. Then there was some controversy. They took him off, but he made the team.
Watch, Beto. This is what I went through when Lucas Matisse fought in LA at the Forum against Kiram. That night I had 3 fights. I had him, Marcelino Lopez fighting Brady Prescott, and Lucas Matisse. I had to tell the nutritionist to help me with him. He goes, "Coach, I'll help you with him." Okay, please. So he was monitoring Marcelino, Lucas, and him at the same time. This guy is great. He knows what he's doing. So he would tell me, "Hey, Coach, he's doing good. He lost so many pounds." Okay, great. He goes, "I'm monitoring everybody." Well, when we got to LA, he told me, "Hey, Marcelino's so much weight over, Lucas is so much weight over, and Javier is so much weight over." Okay, and he would take the food to them. I will go with him. This is your food. This is your food. This is your food, and this is your drinks. Great. Next morning we check, and he would tell me, "Hey, by tomorrow they're gonna be so much under." Sure, he was on point all the time, but this is what happens.
He's a nutritionist. He's doing his job.
Exactly. The day before the weigh-ins, we go take everybody's food. At night, we were so relieved that everything was great. The hotel we were staying in, there's a Carlos Jr. across the street. So he tells me, "Hey, Coach, what are you doing?" I go, "No, nothing." He goes, "You want to go have a burger? Let's go." So we go. It was later at night, 10 o'clock. So we cross the street. We go to the Carlos Jr. And we come back maybe past 11 o'clock. As we walk in the hotel,
No.
I see Javier
No.
walking from the restaurant.
No.
I go, "What are you doing here?" And then he goes, "Oh, I was just a little thirsty and I came to look for water." And I look at the nutritionist and he goes, I go, "He messed up." I go, "Why?" "I have a feeling he did." So I go, "Hey, Javier, you better not." He goes, "No, Coach. I just came to drink a little water because I was thirsty."
At Carlos Jr. At Carlos Jr. you're going to get water.
No. He wasn't. We were at Carlos Jr.
Oh, okay.
He was at the hotel restaurant, walking out of the restaurant.
But he's walking in the lobby at
Yeah.
midnight. What is he doing in the lobby in the restaurant?
Yeah, exactly.
So the next morning,
Fuck.
and if Razzle listening, he knows, because in the morning when I went to go check his weight, the nutrition tells me Lucas is gonna be at this weight, Marcelino at this weight, and Javier at this weight. Well, Martinez was supposed to wake up at 126 and a half, around there, because he was supposed to fight at 26. And Lucas was supposed to wake up a half a pound over, and Marcelino too.
Yeah, and then you pee out the rest of the half pound. You're good.
Lucas and Marcelino woke up a half a pound over. And Javier Martinez, which followed the same thing and was monitored the same way, woke up at 129. So I was like, wow. So then I'm mad. He's mad. We're stressing. And then Razzle's calling me because they had to do a photo shoot and they had to do this and that. And I'm telling Razzle, I can't do it right now. This guy's overweight. He goes, "Oh, hey, you need to bring him. Razzle, I need to take him to." So I get him to the photo shoot real quick. And then from there, we take him to the gym. As a matter of fact, when we're walking from the hotel to the other hotel. Because remember, Roberto, you guys did the weigh-in at another hotel?
I don't remember.
We were staying at one hotel, and we had to walk to another hotel for the weigh-in. So as we're walking, I made sure that somebody was with him so he wouldn't drink water on the way. I mean, it was stressful. So you know what?
Razo is watching. He said, Roberto, remember you sent me to Indio to check his weight. You sent the second in command 2 hours to go weigh him?
But it wouldn't have been because he's never made weight. It had to have been because there's always an issue with weight. So it's like, if I would have said, Razo, go check him, it's because there's worry that he might not make weight, you know? So it's like, you know, I want to say something about what Joel said earlier. Omar Figueroa could have been a superstar. Absolutely. I'll never forget when I signed Omar Figueroa. His father had a lot to do with it. I would get videos. At the time, I would get DVDs of fighters. Stacks and stacks and stacks of DVDs. Every time I took a trip to a fight, I'd check into my room and I'd watch these videos all night. Sometimes it was jumping rope. I'm the next Mike Tyson, and he's jumping rope. Shadow boxing. And obviously, you know, you dispose of those videos. And I remember seeing the videos of Omar. Good-looking kid, spoke well, bilingual, and was knocking out everybody. He had already turned pro before I signed him. I think he had 7 fights. When I signed Omar, Golden Boy started receiving so much criticism of why did you sign Omar Figueroa? He's not even the best in the state. Omar had an ordinary amateur background.
He beat Earl Spence in the amateurs.
He did beat Errol Spence. That's true.
Yeah.
But he didn't win any nationals or like international. He never left international, I don't think. He did only nationals.
Yeah, just national.
But he didn't have an outstanding amateur background. But what I saw, what he was doing in the pros, he was connecting with fans. And he was knocking his opponents out. Regardless of who the opponents were, he was putting them to sleep. I said, this kid has something. So I signed him. Golden Boy gets all these emails like, what are you doing? Who's signing your fight? I had doubt. Like, wow, do I know what I'm doing? That kid had potential. Good looking, spoke well, bilingual, gave the fans what they wanted, knockouts. That kid was going to knock out Adrian Broner. I don't care what anybody says. That's the fight that I always told Omar. That's the fight I want for you. And I remember even after he left, we had a dinner. I think it was when Lucas beat Tewa.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it. At the dinner at Malbec. He showed up, and halfway through the dinner, I turned around. I'm like, oh, shit, Omar Figueroa is to my right. What are you doing here? And he was quiet, eating. Hi, sir. Hi, sir. And I said, hey, I heard you're fighting Broner. And I made everybody do speeches. Remember, Joel?
Yeah.
And he got up, and I said, okay, now it's your turn. And he said, Roberto, I dedicate this fight to Golden Boy. I dedicate this fight to you. I know it's a fight you always wanted. And I said, go make me proud, because that's the fight that's really going to put you over the top. The Mexicans, the Mexican-Americans, everybody was going to follow Omar after knocking out Adrian Broner. Nobody's done that. Omar would have done that. The style, the ruggedness, the power, the I don't care if you hit me, I'm going to walk through your punches as long as I can land mine. For whatever reason, that fight never happened. Maybe Adrian had a little angel, but you know what? That fight, we missed out on it. Omar would have knocked him out.
Yeah, it's we talked about so much wasted talent that's out there, and some of the guys that become world champions, you're like, how? Like, Andrew Cancio, Rene Alvarado, the guys that just keep on plugging away. The guy, what was it that we talked about? Quirino Garcia. What kind of fucking name is Quirino? As a Humberto, I shouldn't say, but pinche Quirino and Humberto, we're still plugging away. But those kind of guys, and then you see the wasted talent, and this is why I love doing this show, because we go in so many different ways. We started in the Ukraine, and we end up talking about a kid of what could have been, what should have been, what so many guys that come into this business because now I'm gonna sound like the old man right now at 41. Too many guys are worried about how many followers they got, how many shirts they're selling, how many hats they got, who's in their crowd, and those are the guys who are like, I can't fight if I don't have my corner with me during this quarantine. And it's something that, Coach, when you see a guy who's young, full of energy, full of cockiness, and everybody around him, to go train in Indio, California, you got to be a special kind of guy. Like, how do you deal with those guys who are like, you know what, this isn't for me, I got to go back home? Or
I'll humble them right away. I've had it before. Victor Ortiz was a fighter that at one time I get a call before he lost to Colasso. Okay?
Luis Colasso, yeah.
Luis Colasso. Before he lost to Luis Colasso, I was training the Magdaleno brothers. And I get a call from somebody from his team and says, hey, Coach, how are you? He says, hey, Victor Ortiz is looking for a trainer. And he says, and we want to see if you can come down to Ventura and work with him for a while. He's auditioning. I go, you know what? I'm sorry, but...
Wait, auditioning?
Yeah, like, if he likes you, I go, you know what? I'm not at that point anymore. I'm sorry. I have a good camp. I have good fighters. I'm not at the position where I'm looking for an audition,
Wait. You had to prove yourself to a guy who just got stopped by Luis Colasso?
That was before.
No, before.
Before. Okay, before.
That was before. Yeah, getting ready for the Luis Colasso fight. So I said, no, I'm not interested. And if that's the case, I'm not. I have a good camp. I have great fighters, so that's it. So then when he lost to Colasso, we were watching the fight in my house. And honest to God, Diego Magdaleno is really good friends with him. They're like brothers.
Yeah.
Diego Magdaleno was training for a fight, and he was at my house and watching the fight. And as he's walking in the ring, I just happened to tell Diego, hey, Diego, something's not right. And he says, what do you mean, Coach? I go, I can tell in his look that he's not out there. He goes, really? I go, yeah, I don't know, but I can tell in his face that he's owning.
Yeah, that fight was in Brooklyn,
New York.
New York.
On Barclays.
The first Fox Sports 1 show that Golden Boy had done.
Yes.
So,
big deal.
So he gets knocked out, right? So he gets knocked out, and that's it. Time went by. I was training Omar Figueroa. At that time, you guys had Omar Figueroa. And I was training Omar Figueroa, and Showtime was doing, I had a camera crew at the gym just for Omar Figueroa. So that morning, I get a call from Magdaleno telling me, hey, Coach, I got a surprise for you. I go, yeah, wait till we get to the gym. I got a surprise for you. So I go, I wonder what it is. Magdaleno had already fought. So he's driving from Vegas to visit me because he had a surprise for me coming to the gym. So as soon as they get to the gym, I see Victor Ortiz, and I see him sitting on the ring. Hey, Coach, how are you? I get out there, and he hugs me, and how you doing, man? And he didn't say anything. He was just, right there visiting. So I'm focused on Omar. Showtime is doing videos of him. When I finish working with Omar, he comes to me and says, hey, Coach, how are you, man? Hey, I'm looking to move over here. Really? Okay. I would like to train over here. Remember, Victor Ortiz, when he started as a young up-and-coming fighter, he was a big top prospect. Robert Garcia had him. I mean, to me, I saw him because when he debuted on the card in San Diego where my brother Antonio fought. And I was really high on Victor Ortiz. Because, man, this kid is powerful, strong, I mean, he has a whole package. I saw him debut in San Diego. So I was really high on Victor. And I would tell everybody, hey, there's a kid out there that is really good, the next superstar in the sport. So when he was with Robert Garcia, it was like he scaled up to the point where I am a big thing. I'm the big thing right now. So I'm the boss. And then he went from there to another team, and then he moved on, whatever. So it was always like whatever Victor said, he was that spoiled kid. So when he came to me, I never gave him no special treatment. And I still remember that day when he tells me, hey, Coach, I would like for you to train me. I go, okay, no problem. Come in. So that day, I got in the ring, and he goes, can I train today? Started training him. He liked it, started coming around. So when he started coming to the gym, he expected special treatment. I never did. And there was times in which, I feel tired. I don't care. Just go. And he would look at me. Yeah. One day, I had him doing a drill. It was him, Diego Magdaleno, and Jesse together, doing a drill. And I go, come on, let's go pick it up. And I'm being myself. So he's like mad, and he wanted to stop. So he throws the jump rope on the floor, and he starts walking away.
Come on.
Yeah. And Diego and Jesse kept jumping, and he just threw. He's mad, he's frustrated because I'm pushing him, and he gets his rope and he throws it on the floor, and he starts walking away. And I'm looking at him, right? So then I go, hey, when you're done throwing your fit, get back and get the rope, and let's finish it. And he looks at me, and then Diego looks at him and he goes, I told you, right here, you're not the boss. He is. From that moment on, it was what I said, not what he said. I said, you know what? I know you're used to that kind of treatment where if you're tired, you're like, oh, I'm tired. And, okay, let's stop. It's not like that with me. If I tell you you're going to do me 100 sit-ups, you're going to give me 100 sit-ups. I don't care if you're struggling through the 80th, 90th, you're going to give me 100 sit-ups. I'm not going to be soft to you. And that's what happened. There was times in which we were doing physical conditioning work, and he would stop. And I would say, if he stops, we're stopping. And everybody like, come on, Victor, let's go. First time he will stop. Second time he will stop. And the third time I'm yelling at him, hey, let's go. Everybody's mad at you because you're stopping. If you stop, everybody's going to stop. So the third time, he will finish it. I go, it took you 3 times to do it when you could have done it from the beginning? And he's like, he's all mad. I go, hey, you're not going to get no special treatment. When he lost to Roberto, he had already left. Because when he fought in Texas against that kid, Julio Sanchez, the kid from Gilberto Sanchez Leon from Mexicali.
Mexicali.
Yeah. When he fought on that card in Texas, I remember. I mean, that kid was nowhere near his level. And I'm in the corner, and I'm talking to him, and he's doing okay, and he's looking pretty. And I told him, I go, hey, Victor, this kid has no business with you in the ring. If you let him go the distance with you, believe me, you're going to devalue yourself. He doesn't belong here with you. You better go in there and finish him now. So he goes in there and he knocks him out. Okay? After that, he comes and he starts training again. And one day he just tells me, hey, coach, you know what? I was thinking about it. And you know what? Indio is very boring. There's nothing to do here. There's nothing to do here.
Wait. Boring? Yeah, it's camp.
Exactly. Going back to what I was saying. This is camp. All these Russians that I'm training on, they never complain. They're here for business.
All right.
And Victor tells me, he goes, hey, coach, there's nothing to do here. It's boring. I'm going to go back to Ventura. That's where my friends are. Okay, see you. When he fought Andre Berto, the night before, I called him on the phone. And I go, hey, Victor, ready for this? Yeah, coach, I'm good. But I heard in his voice a hesitation. So I said, Victor, this is what you got to do. If you want to beat Andre Berto, you got to have no respect.
Now, remember, he had already beat Andre Berto.
So I told him, I said, once the bell rings, you got to go forward and just take it to him just the way Robert Guerrero did, just the way Soto Caraz did. You know what they did? They had no respect for him. If you give him the distance to think, you're going to be in trouble. So you better walk in there and have no respect for him. So he goes in there, and I still remember that fight, Beto. The commentators were talking so good about Victor, how he's looking, he's moving around. And then...
StubHub.
StubHub.
Yes.
And you know what? I saw Berto always flinching, and I said, man, he's trying to set up that uppercut. He's trying to set up the uppercut. And Victor's looking around, he's looking good. He drops Berto with I think it was a jab or whatnot. And then, but Berto kept his composure, and he kept turning to the right to catch him with that uppercut. When he dropped him, I said, man, it's not about looking pretty. It's about getting in there and have no respect for the man across the ring from you. He lost that fight.
Here's something on the Collazo Victor Ortiz fight. When the fight was when the fight was proposed, I called Team Collazo. At the time, Nirmar was a manager. They didn't want to fight Victor. They did not want to fight Victor. And I said, Nirmar, this is the biggest opportunity you have. Victor's been doing, if I'm not mistaken, he had done the movie already. He had done Dancing with the Stars. He had been out for a while. Sorry. And I said, if there's ever a chance you're going to get him uncomfortable, it's now. He called me back a couple hours later and said, okay, we'll take the fight. He wanted more, and it was always the negotiation. Of course, there was no more money. Victor was the star. Luis Collazo, one of my favorite fighters. I mean, Luis is a tremendous fighter. I mean, the guy's still going. And I wasn't surprised, especially now hearing what Joel's saying. That's part of being able to take that extra step. If you're quitting in training, you're preparing yourself to quit in the fight. And that's what Joel's saying. You're going to stop? No, you're going to keep going. Because in the fight, you can't just say, ya estuvo.
Nope.
So Joel is trying to push him, because in the fight, I'm going to have to push you. However, if you're throwing the towel in because the training is too hard and you're not even being hit because of jump rope, because of this, because of that, guess what? When it comes time to the fight, you're going to throw in the towel. And Victor, I'll tell you now, Victor was very talented, strong. But take a look at his career. He's beating Josecito Lopez. If he beats Josecito Lopez, he's going in against Canelo for his biggest pay. He's beating Josecito. But when Josecito said, let's go, let's go. I remember Josecito hitting the side of his waist and saying, let's go.
Nah.
Victor, pulled back, starts boxing, distance. Josecito's now landing his punches, broke his jaw, because his jaw was broken. And they stopped the fight. But it was almost when tremendous talent, but when the going got tough, outside of the first Berto fight, because that fight got really tough and Victor rose to the occasion, but that showed you there was a lot of talent, but maybe not the discipline behind it, or like Joel's saying, not enough people pushing him to take it to that next level, to become that guy. And that's sad, because there was a kid that could have been, look, he could have been bigger than Bojado. Obviously, he was bigger than Bojado, because Bojado, but he could have been even bigger than Vargas. Than Feroz Vargas. Yes, absolutely, because
he had everything.
Victor had personality. Anybody that met Victor, love Victor.
You meet him right now, he's the nicest kid. You're like, you like him, he gives you the big hug.
He's a very nice kid.
He had his own cologne, all that other stuff. He had that charisma. It's like, everybody that talks about Victor, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, he had a crazy upbringing. His childhood was crazy. The way he ended up in everything. But
there's a story behind him.
Yeah, he's got, it's the stuff that you don't wish upon anybody. But at the end of the day, when you're in the ring, it's like, you're training, coach, and it's like, fuck.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with boxing fans. And look, I'm very critical with them.
Yeah.
Obviously, without them, like Joel said earlier, without them, we wouldn't have the sport we have. But boxing fans are the most critical.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the number one fighter in the world today, Canelo Alvarez, and they still have something to say bad. Oh, but he hasn't beat this guy. He didn't beat that guy. Or you could beat the guy, and then they say, yeah, but he wouldn't have beaten Marvin Hagler back in the day. Or he wouldn't have beat. You never do that in football. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl next year over the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's not going to happen,
or over the Chiefs. I'd rather beat the Chiefs. Yeah, that's right, the Chiefs. AFC, Chiefs. They're never going to say, but this Niner team would not have beaten the Niner team of the 80s. They never compare that. No. They just enjoy the moment. And that's what boxing fans need to do. Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, it's man, we've enjoyed the moment. We've been going for 2 hours. This is fantastic. Let me finish it up with this. Thanks to everybody who's left the comments, left questions. But it keeps on flying. ThursDIAZ, I'm telling you, we have a TV show here. There's something here because people don't understand that these unfiltered stories and the way that you're going and the reaction. Like, you've all done a bunch of different shows, a bunch of different podcasts, but you've never had an ability to tell these kind of stories, and it's because the fans are driving it. and we're having fun with you. Joel, let's finish with this one. Tonio said to ask you about the Turkish mafia that showed up the other day.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. Roberto.
Ahmed?
No, Roberto. I mean, it threw me off, but it got me mad. And before I tell you what happened, it's like...
Well, before you tell a story, take un traguito, relax a little bit. Salud,
hey, thank you for reminding me about this because... Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, you know Abney. Abney Yildirim.
Who is he?
Abney is the number 1 contender for the WBC for Benavides.
Okay. You trained him.
He lost to Anthony. Yeah, I'm training him.
Okay.
He lost to Anthony Duran. Turkish fighter, really tough kid. He helped Canelo Alvarez for 2 fights in camp.
For Golovkin fights, yes.
Yeah. Roberto, since he came, remember we brought him from
Yeah.
And every day he tells me, Coach, I love you. And maybe next week we can touch a little bit about traditions. I have to get used to everybody's tradition, I mean, the religion, the tradition, what they like and what you do and you can't do. Well, Abney is the type of guy that he comes, Roberto, he shakes my hand, he kisses my hand, puts it on his forehead, and he gives me a kiss here and a kiss here. And I'm like, look, I'm Mexican, I'm like, but you have to adapt. But he tells me, Coach, I am Turkish mafia. Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. But right here, you're my fighter. I don't care what you are. Okay, Coach, no problem. So at the house, the other guys that are there are like, hey, Coach, because Ahmed told me, get him somebody that can cook for him, somebody that can do, I'll pay, whatever. I don't care. Just make sure he's okay. Okay, Ahmed. But right now, there's nobody that's going to cook for him. We're in a pandemic, right? Well, I mean, we're on quarantine. There's nobody that's going to be cooking for him or nothing. So some of the guys at the house, they're like, hey, Coach. And there's this guy. He's a heavyweight. His name is Hussein Mohammed. 14-0 heavyweight. Managed by Ahmed as well.
Ahmed, yeah.
So Ahmed tells me, hey, Coach, this guy is really nice. Really nice guy. Okay. And he tells me, Coach, every day I cook. Abney just looking at me. Abney, do something. He doesn't know how to do anything. So he's just standing for food and whatever. So I go, hey, from now on, tell him, Abney, you wash the dishes, I'll cook. Or vice versa. Have him do something. And I don't care. And if he has to clean his room, tell me, Coach. Just tell him to clean his room. So, Roberto, yesterday, the day before, he calls me, hey, Coach, we don't have a ride to the gym. And Tuesdays at the camp house, the trash truck goes by. So I go, hey, take out the trash cans. Whenever the trash goes, pick it up and put them in the backyard because we got the HOA. If you guys leave the trash cans outside, they always call me. So he calls me and tells me, hey, Coach, I don't have a ride. I go, okay, give me 15 minutes. I'll go pick you up. He goes, it's me and 2 guys. No problem. I get to the neighborhood, and as soon as I pull up to the house, they're not at the house. They're across the street. So I pull up. They get in the car. Abney gets in the car, and he puts on his seatbelt. As I'm driving off, Roberto, I glance to the left, and I look at the trash cans. They're outside. I mean, they've been in and out of the house for a day. And I go, hey, everybody get off the fucking car and put those trash cans on the back. So the guys in the back, they jump, poof, and they go. And then I look to the left, and Abney's right here. And I go, hey, get the fuck off. Go. He goes, no, Coach, I'm Turkish mafia. I don't give a fuck. So I go to the gym and I tell the guys, and everybody's laughing because I go, he's really serious, Roberto. He didn't take off his seatbelt. I go, hey, get the fuck off the car and put those trash cans in the back.
I'm going to tell you something about Abney.
Those guys get off the car and they run, and there's 3 trash cans and there's 2 guys. And then I'm looking at the guys, but I look over here and I see this guy sitting down. And I go, hey, get the fuck off the car and go. He goes, oh, Coach, no, I'm Turkish mafia. I don't give a fuck if you get the fuck off
the Hey, he learned enough English to say I'm Turkish mafia. But I'll tell you what.
Wow.
Abney is a hero back home.
So he's a boxing manager?
No, Abney's a fighter.
Oh, he's the fighter.
Yes, Abney's the fighter that Joel's training. He's the mandatory to David Benavides for the world title.
Mandatory.
Yes,
and he's fucking Turkish mafia.
They call him the robot. But I'll tell you and everybody, hey, he's not from the truth. The kid is he's connected. Ahmed is connected, and he's a badass. He's a badass.
He's no longer the robot. He's already moving his head and back and forth. Hey, Roberto. The other day, I'm doing mitts with him, right? And he goes, "Oh, coach, I love boxing. I will be a world champion. I love boxing." And he's moving his head. And I go, move. When he's moving, and then I'm doing a combination with.
Wait, hold on, coach. Hold on. What's his name again?
Abney.
Abney.
AVNI. Yielded him.
Holy fuck.
Okay.
He's got 282,000 followers on Instagram.
Oh,
okay.
Dude, it's really
wait, hold on. For the people listening, AVNIYIL, and his name will come in. Avni Yildirim. He's got like a 15-pack. He's swole. He's been working on in your truck too. So the back of your truck, he's been working on. This dude has 282,000 followers.
Okay, let me tell you a little story of how Joel kidnapped them.
I'm Mexican mafia. That's why I tell him. I go, you Turkish mafia, I'm Mexican mafia.
Hey, only in boxing. Omni. And look, this is an exclusive. And I'm going to say it right now.
Say it, Roberto, say it. And I'm going to tell Beto how it happened.
Joel and I might get in trouble, but this is how it happened. I'm in Culiacan.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm in church.
And he's... And I get a call from Abney's manager and promoter, Ahmed, who's a good friend for many years. Roberto, Abney's in training. He's hurting. His body aches. Everything is bad. But I can't get a doctor. Can you send a doctor? I said, yeah, whatever you need. I mean, Ahmed is in Turkey. I'm in Culiacan. Abney's in Big Bear.
And I'm in church.
And he's in So I said, okay, what do you need me to do? You need a doctor? I'll find you a doctor in Big Bear. No, the current coach doesn't want him to leave camp, doesn't want nobody to come in camp. The current coach is not even in camp. He's in another country. Ahmed, what do you want me to do? I need help. I said, okay, well, tell Abney to leave camp and, I don't know, come to LA and I'll send him to a doctor. I'll send him to another trainer. I'll send him somewhere. I have nobody there. That's why I'm calling you. Can you find somewhere for him? And I'm thinking. Let me think. I called Ahmed back and I said, I think I hung up and I called Joel. Hey, Joel, I got a fighter in Big Bear. But do you have space for him? And Joel, I mean, gracias, Joel always never says no, says yes. I have an apartment. I'll place him. Send him. So I called Ahmed and I said, hey, Ahmed, send him to Big Bear. Send him to Indio. Oh, I don't have anybody. Okay, so what do you need me to do? Can you have somebody pick him up? Okay, tell Abney to tell his coach that he's leaving, and let me see if I can get an Uber. Let me see if I can get somebody to pick him up. Oh, his coach is not in town. We need to do it now before he gets back.
Kidnapped him.
So I'm like, oh, fuck, Ahmed. Oh, so I call Joel, and I said, hey, Joel, do you have somebody that could go to Big Bear right now, pick this kid up, bring him back, and take him to you? And he said, yeah, of course. And basically, he left without telling his coach or anything. I'm out of here. And I said, look, maybe it's good because maybe he gets to Joel and doesn't like it and goes back to Big Bear before the other coach before he gets back. The bad thing was when Abni got to Indio, he called Ahmed and said, "Why didn't we start in Indio in the first place? I love it here. I'm learning so much. They treat me so good. I got a massage. I got a doctor. My pain's gone." Abni's been there, and look, through the pandemic, which has been a couple months, I've never seen Abni happier. He's learning English. He's learning to move. I just found out he's learning to move his head. He's no longer the robot. He's now the Turkish mafia. Hey, the kid is a badass.
Yeah, he's
He tells me every day. He goes, "Coach, I love boxing now. I love boxing. Before, I didn't like boxing." He says, "Nah, over there, no good energy, arrogant. Here, good energy, family." I'm like, I'm happy. Whatever. If you're happy, I'm happy. That's fine. Ahmed called me today.
Ahmed called me too. Ahmed called me too, and he asked me, "Can I put the heavyweight on?" I said, "Absolutely. Once we get green light, I'll put him on. No problem."
Yeah.
But the funny thing.
How much does he weigh? What is he? What weight class?
Abni's 168.
Dude, this guy, his nickname, the Turkish Wolf. 282,000 followers.
He's a badass.
The other day I did a live on my Instagram, and I was excited because there was like 300 and some people watching it like in 10 minutes. And one day he turned it on, in 10 minutes he had like 3,500 people watching him. And I said, wow. And then, you know what? It was funny, Roberto, the other day.
Follow.
They were saying, Roberto, Ruslan doesn't talk much. And he was telling me, "Hey, coach, a Turkish president, my last fight, Turkish president went to see me."
Yes, they went to a football stadium, thousands and thousands of people, and they dropped down a big banner of the Turkish president, and then they dropped down a big banner of Abni.
Yeah.
He is a hero in Turkey.
He's a hero in Turkey. He tells me, "Coach, in Turkey, people love you. People want you. People love you."
Oh.
And you know what, Roberto? When the other day he was saying that the Turkish president went to go see Abni to fight, and I was doing mitts with Ruslan, and Ruslan goes, "Coach, you know why Turkish president went to see Abni?" I go, "Why?" "Because he's the only boxer in whole Turkey."
That's true.
It's funny. You want the Turkish people, because covering the NBA and Hidro Turkoglu, I started getting a bunch of Turkish followers because you would post about the Turkish guys, and it was like, oh my god, it's crazy. So the Turkish fans love their sports because there's not that many of them. So when Hidro Turkoglu was playing for around the NBA, the Turkish TV, my friend Barbaros Tapan would come out, and I would learn Mehiba, Masavik, and stuff like that. And I was like on CNN Turkey. So if you love me in Turkey, Beto, Duran, CNN Turkey, because they love you. So we need to take the ThursDIAZ to Turkey with Andy, and we'll be ready to go. So we go to Turkey, we go with back, we're going all over the world. It's my goodness, man, this has been fun.
See, that's the beauty of boxing.
Yes, it is.
We can be in LA tomorrow. We can be in Turkey. We fly over to Ukraine, Nicaragua, Panama, Venezuela. I mean,
you sound like Orlando Valuta right now. That's what he. Oh, without a doubt, another great edition of ThursDIAZ. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it's available on YouTube and on iTunes and Spotify. We'll do it again next week. And people were asking, after the pandemic, are you guys going to keep the show going? We'll see. Hopefully there's boxing on Thursday nights and we can't do the show. But, I mean, we're onto something. We're going to keep on going. And I know everybody does a bunch of different shows. Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn does a fun show. Him and Tony Bellew, they do great things. But at the end of the day, you don't hear about Turkish Mafia. You don't hear about Victor Ortiz. You don't hear about the real stuff in Westlaco unless you're watching and listening to ThursDIAZ. So, for Roberto Diaz and Joel Diaz, caballeros, gracias mucho. Muy agradecido.
Roberto, buenas noches. Beto.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. I want to say real quick before we leave, happy birthday to my great friend. He's a brother, Matthew Hatton. In a few, probably now it's in the UK. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, brother! I love you.
Happy birthday, Matthew. Hey, Much love.
Matthew Hatton right there. That's going to be the promo. So, wait, Matthew Hatton. I met him one time. Dude, he's a good dude.
He's an amazing guy. Man.
He's a good dude. Like, in Vegas. I met him in Vegas one time. Yeah, well,
he fought a lot of times under Ricky. He fought Canelo. This is a kid that worked really hard.
Yeah.
You know, he was always in the shadow of his brother, who was a superstar.
No, but he was tough. He was very tough.
But he was tough. He was tough. I mean, I remember, very few times, and I'll say this real quick, that it was an honor. We were good friends. We are good friends. And one time he fought for an international title back home, and he asked me to work his corner.
You work the corner, Roberto?
I've never been the guy to work corners.
Wait, hold on. For corner, don't you have to get a license?
I must have got a license, but
hey, Mexican Commission, Beto.
No, that was in the UK. That was in the UK. Turkish Mafia.
UK Mafia.
But he asked his team and he asked his dad. He goes, "Hey, I want Robert to work my corner.
No way.
I want him to be in the corner. I wasn't the head, but I was in the corner." And to me, for him to ask that, you know, Ricky Hatton's brother and Matthew Hatton and fighting such an important fight, I think it was an international fight or title eliminator. It was an honor, and I was like so nervous, throwing instructions, do this, do that. Matthew won the fight, and they gave it a draw. It was so disappointing, but. I love the guy. I mean, him, the family, everybody. I wish you a very happy birthday, Matthew. I can't wait to see you guys again. Every time we see each other, it's like time hasn't passed. But feliz cumpleaños, papa.
There it is, Matthew Hatton.
Happy birthday, Matthew.
Happy birthday, Matthew, from the ThursDIAZ show. So for everybody who's been involved with the show, with your questions, thank you so much. Make sure you share alike. So for Joel Diaz, Roberto Diaz, I'm Beto Duran. And ThursDIAZ, we'll be back every Thursday for you. And I still got a little bit of wine. Roberto, you got a little bit of Johnny Walker Blue?
Absolutely.
And Joel, you got some Granada?
Ya se la acabó.
Oh, the ponche.
Look, almost. The bottle's almost done.
And that's the whole point. To you, thanks for watching, everybody. It's not your traditional boxing show. Saludos a todos. Bienvenidos.
Saludos, Sulem. Hey, Sulem. Joel Diaz brought you. Sulem, let's go get a world title.
Roberto, we gotta put that back to work right away.
Dude,
we need that title. We need it. Roberto, you know we need that title.
Hey, if you need a fight, ask Roslo. He'll make it for you. Actually, no, ask Al-Zahir. Al-Zahir will make it for you. 2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours and 18 minutes of a ThursDIAZ. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for everybody listening. We'll see you next Thursday. Thanks for everybody involved with the show. Adios. Un abrazo and take care.
Buenas noches a todos.
Buenas noches.